Unlimited access to paints, airbrushes, and hobby spaces. This is what's in Armored Komodo's new hobby lounge in Las Piñas. We're back with another episode of Philippine Hobby Community. If you don't already know, Armored Komodo is a paint brand that I've featured on this channel before, and you probably know about it, especially if you're a gunpla painter, but they've been making their strides lately here in the Philippines. I cannot help but express my inspiration and gratitude for Alex, the guy himself, for putting this place up. First of all, when you enter this hobby lounge, you're greeted by expert staff that know their products, have a lot of experience in the hobby, and will help you decide what paints to choose for your projects. All you need to do in this venue is just bring your paintbrushes and bring your miniature. You will then be charged to get an hourly rate to get access to all the paint products of Armored Komodo, down from the primers, top coats, varnishes, weathering pigments, oils, acrylics, enamels, all the hobby paints you could ever imagine, with so many color swatches, and even their new contrast equivalent paints, which is called transition paints. I actually went there to try the transition paints myself, and I'll be showing you footage of a mini that I painted using this so-called transition paint. This is officially a first of its kind here in the Philippines, and it's quite amazing to see. As revolutionary as this idea is in the hobby space, I'm so proud that it's happening here in my home country. Because imagine having a paint brand's entire product line at your fingertips. You could try any paint. You could try as much as you want, and if you haven't tried enough within that hour, you can even extend. And what's amazing is when you bring miniatures and model kits and dioramas that you want to work on, you can work on it on the spot with other hobbyists around you. I have very minimal experience in using the airbrush, and I got one of the guys, Sir Richard, there, who helped me learn about how to use an airbrush. I've used it once before, but he really taught me why there's a compressor, how to use that trigger finger thingy, and how to even clean it. And I was able to use that lesson within 15 minutes to zenithal prime my project mini for that day. It's quite cool because they really have a dedicated airbrush area, an airbrush room with airbrushes that you could borrow and use for that day. It's basically like a net cafe without the computers, and all you have are rentable hobby tools. Visit the Facebook link I'll be linking down below, and the rates should be there for you to see on how much it will cost to spend an hour in that space. Everything else you need is all there, down to the hand brushing areas with the painting mats, to the VIP room where you could sort of have meetings with your other friends, and even gather some inspiration by viewing the artists' work on display that you can actually buy. Now, this is not only a haven for painters and hobbyists altogether, but also a haven for toy makers, collectors, and 3D sculptors, as it is a big renaissance here in the Philippines. If you are a 3D sculptor yourself, you could give your STL files to Armored Komodo. They could either print you your model on the spot, which give or take may take a few hours in that exact venue, or they could even give it to them to create a master sculpt. They'll take that master sculpt, create molds in their warehouse a couple of towns away, and mass produce your toys. This is like every hobbyist's fantasy. This is a place where you don't have to risk your own space, paints, your own airbrushes, your own 3D printers, and have Armored Komodo take care of that for you. Alex not only has a lot of experience in creating paints, but he also has a lot of experience in creating molds, casts, and 3D prints. So he's definitely the guy to talk to if you want to mass produce your miniatures or make a lot of your miniatures or a lot of your busts for your own personal collection. But I was really there to check out these transition paints, and here is my Colexus Assassin, which was gifted to me by the Painted WRIGHT team, people who make these little scented candles, which I have unfortunately run out of. This one is called Battle Biscuits, which is kind of interesting. But going back, these transition paints act and behave like your normal contrast paints or your normal what's that new contrast paint equivalent of Vallejo? But the cool thing that I've noticed here is it does not coffee stain like normal washes or contrast-like paints that you see on the market. But it was something that Alex was really talking about and really intended to do. I intentionally tried to mess up the pants or the red pants I was trying to paint on this Calixtus assassin, by intentionally making areas dry in different areas to see if there were coffee stains. Unfortunately, I really had a hard time filming with this camera and in that hobby space while painting on the spot, so I did get a lot of footage. But if you can see in this final product, you can see that these transition paints do not show coffee stains no matter what I did. They behaved a little bit like Citadel's contrast paints, but they're not as thick. And asking Alex about it, it's because he really wanted the surface tension of the paint to be broken up so that a lot of the chances for coffee staining will be minimized for this product. Most of the base coats that you see me applying here are transition paints, but I did highlight up with a lot of standard Armored Komodo water-based acrylic paints, which you can see my review up here. But what also surprised me unintentionally were the new metallic paints. They do have a lot of metallic paints before, but they have a new formulation that really allowed me to paint the belt buckles of this guy really well. Initially, I thought these metallic paints were too thick, but when I applied them with a brush, it was so easy to get fine details with not a lot of water added. That's incredibly impressive. Second to that, I was really impressed with how the weathering pigments applied on this model. They didn't fall off and they really stuck on really well on the first few minutes of me applying them. And maybe within 3 to 4 hours, I was able to paint up this beautiful miniature, albeit I built this the day before, but priming up to highlighting was all done in a day thanks to this transition paints and being able to quickly access all the paints I needed without even using my own personal collection. Imagine if you needed a specific color and you ran out, or you need a specific color and you don't have it on your collection, you could just walk over and get the paint from Armored Komodo. That's one of the beautiful things I experienced here, is because I didn't have to worry about my own paint collection. I also didn't have to worry about taking note of the paints I used, because every paint I pulled out from the rack and gave to the staff, they took it down for me and I was able to see all the paints I used. So after finishing my project, I had a long list of my paints that I used for that day. It's quite a nice experience coming in, walking the door with an unpainted model and brush in hand, and coming out with that painted model done. Alex is an incredibly passionate person. His goal is quite similar to the show, which is to bring light to the Philippine hobby community and the talent it holds. Beyond miniature painting, there's so many scale modelers out there. There's so many figure painters out there. There's so many bust painters out there just in the Philippines that I would love you guys to check out. So if ever in the Philippines, check out this playlist, check out this video, check out Armored Komodo, and check out this Hobby Lounge. Thanks again, Armored Komodo, for inviting me, and thank you for watching. This has been Louie of Louie Loves Minis, reminding you to make time for your hobby that you love. Actually, you know what? You keen viewers out there may notice I did not end with my normal tagline. In fact, I'm thinking about changing that tagline because I'm sort of considering my whole initiative to paint every day. I'm actually in the middle of editing another video about that. Stay tuned, because I think hobbying every day is not exactly the solution to keeping the sprues away anymore. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace!